Chapter 4 of Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi is out, and as usual, we'll be discussing it today. This video will naturally contain spoilers, so we strongly recommend you watch the episode first before proceeding. Don't worry, we'll be waiting for you when you get back. This week's episode was a bit of a mixed bag. On the one hand, we saw disappointingly little of Jabim, but we got a surprise visit to Fortress Inquisitorius to make up for it. For many of you, we suspect Kenobi is the first Star Wars story you've seen Fortress Inquisitorius in, but if you've read the canon comics or played Jedi Fallen Order, you know that this waterlogged citadel holds plenty of dark secrets. Obi-Wan Kenobi was far from the first Jedi to set foot in that tainted place, and he only narrowly escaped the terrible fate of those who came before him. In this video, we'll be giving guided tours of Fortress Inquisitorius, the stronghold of the Empire's most secretive agency.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
If you were listening closely at the start of the episode, you might have caught the name of the system Fortress Inquisitorius was located in, the Mustafar system, which, at this point in time, Darth Vader has claimed as his personal territory. Obviously, the fortress wasn't on Mustafar itself. It was located on Nur, a water-covered moon in the same system. Its close proximity to Lord Vader's chosen home was intentional. The dark side was strong on Mustafar, and Nur was also affected by this taint. In canon, Mustafar was once a verdant moon of the gas giant Jestafad. In those days, it was ruled by Lord and Lady Corvax, but after Lord Corvax died in battle, Lady Corvax was consumed by the grief and attempted to resurrect him using an ancient artifact called the Bright Star. But Lady Corvax failed to bring back her love, and the use of the Bright Star pushed Mustafar out of Jestafad's influence. However, Mustafar wasn't pushed far enough to escape Jestafad's influence. Rather, it became caught in a gravitational tug of war between Jestafad and the nearby gas giant Lefrani. Caught between two giants, Mustafar's crush was ripped apart, and the immense pressure the planet was subjected to made it into a hellish, volcanic world. The Sith remained fascinated with Mustafar after the Cataclysm, building a temple over the planet's strongest dark side nexus. The sect of Sith that set up shop on Mustafar believed the planet held the key to eternal life, drawn by the stories of Lady Corvax and her attempt to resurrect her lover. It was on the site of their ancient temple that Darth Vader chose to construct his personal fortress, Fortress Vader, after the rise of the Empire. Vader chose Mustafar as his home for several reasons. The most obvious is that the planet was the site of his defeat at the hands of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the Darkside Nexus was obviously a big selling point as well. But Vader was also drawn by what had drawn the Sith to Mustafar in the first place: the story of Lady Corvax. Like her, he had lost the person he cared about most, and much of his time on Mustafar was spent trying to find a way to bring her back to life. All of the aforementioned factors made Mustafar a bastion of the dark side during the Imperial era, and its taint extended as far as watery Nur. Nur was a moon of one of the Mustafar system's gas giants, probably Jestafad, since Mustafar could sometimes be seen from Nur's surface. When Vader established his fortress on Mustafar, he commissioned a second fortress on Nur to serve as the headquarters of the Inquisitorius, which is the place we've been seeing in Kenobi. Fortress Inquisitorius was where the Inquisitors and their purge troopers lived and trained, where they planned their Jedi hunting missions, and where they brought Jedi to die. The lower levels of the fortress were a vast, sprawling prison equipped with state-of-the-art security systems and torture chambers. Most of Fortress Inquisitorius was located underwater, primarily for security purposes. Since the fortress's prison was meant to hold Jedi, it was as secure as the Empire could make it. Each section of the fortress could be independently sealed with blast doors or laser gates. Parts of the prison area were built over an open pool of magma, crossed by bridges that could be forcibly retracted, and, of course, parts of the fortress could be flooded as a last-ditch escape prevention measure. Indeed, the entire fortress could be flooded if necessary. The prisoners of Nur were nigh inescapable, with only 3 confirmed successful escape attempts ever occurring, 2 of which had outside help. After the construction of Fortress Inquisitorius, the purpose of the Inquisitors shifted a little. You might have noticed in Kenobi that the Inquisitors aren't looking to kill Obi-Wan, they were looking to capture him. By that stage of the Great Purge, The Empire no longer needed to kill surviving Jedi as quickly as possible, so Vader and his Inquisitors opted to capture the Jedi they found instead of killing them on the spot. These captured Jedi were brought to Fortress Inquisitorius, where Vader and his expert torturers broke them. For millennia, the Sith honed the art of breaking Jedi. It wasn't enough for them to torture their Jedi prisoners. For as long as they were Sith, they relished the opportunity to destroy Jedi spiritually as well as physically, to make them fall before they died. Some of those Jedi who were tortured in the dungeons of Fortress Inquisitorius became Inquisitors themselves. Most of the Inquisitors joined the Sith cause in exactly this manner. Other Jedi were made to fall just for the fun of it. They were tortured until they lost control, and once they fell, they were killed. The tombs that Obi-Wan encountered in the lower levels of Fortress Inquisitorius probably held the preserved remains of Jedi who met the latter fate, or perhaps the Jedi down there were in suspended animation, a fate worse than death. Jedi weren't the only ones to be tortured in the depths of Fortress Inquisitorius, however. The Inquisitors rounded up every Force sensitive they could find, younglings included, and tortured them until they snapped, turning them into agents of the dark side. These new dark side adepts usually weren't made Inquisitors. The Emperor himself had other uses for them. This practice reflects part of Count Dooku's vision for the Empire, as he expressed it in the Legends Revenge of the Sith novelization. To quote, "He would smash the Jedi Order to create it anew, not shackled by the corrupt, narcissistic, shabby little beings who called themselves politicians, but free to bring true authority and true peace to a galaxy that so badly needed both. An order that would not negotiate, would not mediate, an order that would enforce. The survivors of the Jedi Order would become the Sith Army, the fist of the Empire. And that fist would become a power beyond any Jedi's darkest dreams. The Jedi were not the only users of the Force in the galaxy. From Hapes to Harun Kal, from Kifu to Dathomir, powerful Force-capable humans and near-humans had long refused to surrender their children to lifelong bound servitude in the Jedi Order. They would not refuse the Sith Army. They would not have the choice. This, in turn, bears a resemblance to a failed plot of Darth Sidious's, his attempt to kidnap Force-sensitive children during the Clone Wars. Through Cad Bane, he had younglings from the far corners of the galaxy brought to Mustafar, where he planned to turn them into an army of Force-attuned spies loyal to the Sith. His plan initially seemed to have failed, as Cad Bane was captured and the kidnapped children were rescued by the Jedi, but perhaps after becoming Emperor, Sidious got his wish after all. Of course, the Empire never established a Sith army, neither in legends nor in canon, but the practices of the Inquisitorius in canon bear a disturbing resemblance to Dooku's grand vision. They laid claim to Force sensitives around the galaxy, kidnapping them and making them break in the Fortress Inquisitorius, where the dark pull of Mustafar amplified fear and despair. All who felt the Force were to be bent to the Emperor's will or killed. Those who broke worked in the shadows, strengthening the dark side's hold on the galaxy. Those who continued to resist, as we saw in Kenobi, were sent to the tombs below. So that's our look at Fortress Inquisitorius, the place that Jedi went to die. But what do you think? Are you excited for the last 2 episodes of Kenobi? Feel free to post your thoughts in the comments section below. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video.